Hey everybody, welcome to the beginning of Group B in the round of 16. This is our last group to play here. We're only going to have 2 more players go forward into that round of 8 in this group. No Terran players remain, so unfortunately for our Terran fans, which should be anybody with a brain, we only have So-So advancing as a Terran player. Here in this group, 2 Protoss and 2 Zerg. We have in the first game, Invade, our up-and-coming Korean Protoss, against ZeLoT, one of the favorites of the tournament, I would say, personally. He's done fantastically lately. Very, very strong. Had a deep finish in CNSL. What did he get? Second last season, I want to say? Or he was very deep. I'm having a hard time remembering exactly. But anyways, really great player. And then we have Movie and Absolute as our other 2. Movie, obviously, the player with the most accomplishments in the group, the most experienced of the players, with Invade and Absolute being far less experienced than ZeLoT. So yeah, I guess I would be favoring ZeLoT and Movie probably, although I could see things going wrong for Movie because his PVZ sometimes is very, very weak. He has shown some good games lately, so I don't want to keep him in that pigeonholed area that everyone kind of knows him from. This is like a very historical thing with Movie where he just hasn't been strong against Zerg, generally speaking. But anyways, going down for a quick scout is Invade. He's going to go ahead and just find that hatchery. Looks all very standard so far from ZeLoT. Invade right now does have that forward gateway at his choke, so he will be going for a little bit of ZeLoT pressure here without a doubt. ZeLoT moving the drone to the side so that the probe can't block him while he makes his spawning pool. And I mean, this is a pretty standard beginning to a game. The ZeLoT going to rally down, of course, and put a bit of pressure on and probably just hide behind some minerals and things like that. We'll see if ZeLoT tries to turn on some heavy aggression, because that's really what ZeLoT's known for. I would label him as the most aggressive of all the pro gamers. Like, he is insanely aggressive. More so even than Miso, I would say, who has previously kind of held that title, or aka Where. But yeah, Miso, very aggressive. ZeLoT, very aggressive. And we do have some other very aggressive players, like Mini is oftentimes very aggressive, but it's a different level with a couple of these Zerg guys. Now, the ZeLoT coming down, and of course the drone just kind of sees it coming, decides to go to the side to make a 3rd hatchery over there. 6 Zerglings already on the way, and this ZeLoT, like, yeah, he knows that Zerglings are in here, so he's just looking for a free hit, or maybe even 2. You never know. When the Zerglings pop out, sometimes they displace each other and glitch out for a moment before going. Okay, and actually doesn't get the full hit there, I guess. Neither of those actually ended up, excuse me, and ended up taking damage. Don't know why I have a random hiccup there, but more Zerglings coming down. ZeLoT staying at home, another ZeLoT does pop out, and there's the Forge. So we have Invade, you know, he's getting his Nexus going, he's getting the Forge, he's not trying to be too greedy here or anything. And I think that's probably smart, considering he's against ZeLoT, who you never know if he's just going to turn on the aggression very suddenly. Oh, the probe drilling through those Zerglings. You do have to be very careful about this. And again, especially so against ZeLoT. He does the damage to that probe and instantly throws on the Hydralisk Den. He probably had that planned already, but just mentioning, right? Like, as soon as the probe takes damage like that, you definitely can block him from scouting. 2 Zerglings will hold this area. And he's got this ZeLoT, you know, walled in pretty much with the 3-lings. The 3-lings, if the ZeLoT tries to come out, should be able to kill them. Whereas if they attacked in, they would die. Kind of funny how that works, but it is how it works. The probe trying to get back into the main base. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to make it here. Good job there by ZeLoT preventing it. Kills the probe. Now, there's 4 ZeLoTs coming down. So this Hydralisk rush should be able to be scouted. Hydras are going to be jumping out of these eggs anyways, so this ZeLoT is going to have some vision of what's going on. And that's incredibly important for him to see the Hydralisk rush as quickly as he possibly can. Now, as the Hydras come out, he's going to know. The 4 Zealots, are they going to stay out here? It looks like they are. They're diving towards this third base location. Turn around to fight against some of these Zerglings. The Zealots do need to buy him a little bit of time. Certainly, we're going to see some more cannons going up momentarily here. He actually starts the Stargate despite the fact that there are Hydras out. I feel weird about that. Like, the Corsair... Here's the thing about... Like, obviously, the Corsair does not really help against Hydralisks that are trying to bust you. But it does do a little bit. Like, it scouts what their tech is and if they are droning or still making Hydras. So it's still very useful. But I feel like normally when people see that this is coming, they skip this. And yeah, they get Citadel very, very quickly in additional gates. Because generally it's going to be a bit better to punish via attacking rather than scout to try to be reactive in a defensive manner. Okay, I think that's a general rule that... honestly, at high-level competition in a game like this where there's so many mistakes made all the time, probably just as a general rule, it's going to be smarter. Honestly, that's something I work on myself. But yeah, he does have that Citadel up. He is adding the gates. He'll only make the 1 Corsair, I'm almost 100% sure. Just, again, to fly around, maybe poke some Overlords, but more so just to scout. Are there drones? Are there Hydras? Are you going layer? He needs to know those things. So this 1 Zealot being chased down. 4 Hydra's going to be able to deal with him. It does take a lot of Hydra hits to kill a Zealot since they have explosive damage. The Corsair pushing back an Overlord here. Obviously, if there's no Overlords up here, you could grab a Dark Templar and that will just hold the rush by itself. But that's not going to be the case. 2 Overlords ready for Zealot as he flies down with this Corsair to figure out, again, what are you doing? And he's going to see a lair. All right, so this is important. Sees, of course, that Hydralisk speed is all done. Starting to hit this forge now as well. Definitely doesn't want to let that die. Zealot trying to get into position. You have to be careful. You don't want to go forward too much or the cannons will end up hitting you. It's kind of like when Dragoons are attacking a bunker. So it looks like he's just barely going to cancel +1. The Zealots are going to come out because he really wants +1 to finish. But 1 dies, 3 have taken pretty massive damage. Oh my god, it's the closest thing ever. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He takes all that damage on Zealots and he does not get it. That was within about 1 second of finishing too. So that is incredibly frustrating here for Invade. Incredibly frustrating. Zealot back home has made quite a few drones. So this is it. He's not going for any more of a push. Invade is not adding additional cannons. Obviously, he just lost his forge, so he can't. Just remade it as well and adds that second forge. This is the very common follow-up to losing a forge to a Hydralisk bust type situation, is getting 2 forges so that at least your 1-1 will be on time. And then honestly, like, right, you're going to have 1-1 basically when you would have had 1-1 before, but you won't have +1 early. But then your other upgrades can come a little bit quicker too, and you are playing a more ground-heavy game, generally speaking, in a situation like this. So, anyways, I really like it. I think it's a good way to kind of recover from a situation like that. Robo already coming out. Definitely going to want to think about getting a shuttle for some harassment. Of course, observers as lurkers are very likely the next tech route, and of course, he's right about that. Zealot getting those lurkers right now. Now, the Zealots run out with their speed upgrade. The Hydra's trying to back up from this. This is a little bit scary. You can see the Zealot's just so fast. Oh, doesn't quite get that one. 1 health left, but will catch some of these, putting a lot of damage out onto these Hydralisks. The Hydra's trying to get home to where they are at a critical mass. You do need that critical mass to deal with these speed lots. Look at this, 12 of them right now marauding around the map. This 4th base could be an area to hit. Don't forget the lurker upgrade is ready, so you can do things like block ramps with eggs. There you go. Going to do that right now. Great way to try to defend this. The Zealot's going down to this 3rd base location. Look at this, 3 hatches. He's going to force a cancel on that one immediately. The Zealots come up. That was gross. Yeah, loses 4 Zealots there. So basically he ran up and then let them attack. Normally you'd want to spread them and run them to attack rather than... They were like on a clump on the side. You could have had them spread and hit and get better surface area. So like the moment he attacked there was not super great, but does escape with most of them at least. Lurkers coming up the map right now, getting into an area where they can get a containment going. There are a couple Dark Templars, by the way. Those might be utilized to drop off into the main base. Kind of a common thing. You see the speed overlords up here, so probably not going to be good for breaking the containment, but good for harassment without a doubt. Yeah, the 2 Dark Templars go into that shuttle. These speed lots continuing to try to run away from the Hydras, which are trying to head them off at the pass. There's a Lurker here as well. And more Zealots come out, so he decides, okay, well, we're going to do our best. Loses a few, doesn't do that much damage, unfortunately. Still, Invade is okay. He's not dead. But I feel like ZeLoT is outdoing him. The fact that we have 4 bases up pretty cleanly with 40 drones, the supply is getting closer and closer. This is an important moment. Invade's DT drop, if he can get a lot of damage done, oh, and he might. He just might. Just got to hit only drones here. Don't forget, you don't get an audio cue when the drones die in one hit. So he is going to lose all but 1 drone. This was a fantastic drop. This did so well. By the way, the drop upgrade on the way for Overlord, so that's going to be interesting. Now the DT is going after this +2 attack. Hydras come in to try to clear this out. Oh, he just barely isn't going to get it. Loses 1 of the Dark Templars, and in fact, the second one going to fall as well. ZeLoT with the containment back here. A couple cannons have been killed off. This was by Invade, so he can actually get out of his base. He is getting multiple observers to make sure that he can break out one time cleanly. 1-1 upgrades are done with +2 on the way. A lot of Dragoons being produced as well. Ooh, I heard the pickup on the Overlords. Shuttle will get home safely. And now, here we go. Invade coming out for the break. He brings a small group of units to break these Lurkers that are out in the front. Okay, breaks 3 of them really cleanly. Throws a storm down. Not the best storm, but still, he's done good progress here. Now, a drop coming into the main base. There is a photon cannon up in here. He's going to probably drop the Hydralisks out to tank damage and then try to get a couple good Lurker rounds, right? He'll target these. Oh, no, he didn't target it. So this is just not going to work out. The Dragoon's going to be able to kill that off. Dude, I tell you, Invade with a solid defense. Very solid stuff. Gotta hand it to him. Okay, so right now, Invade is up a fair amount of supply. His army honestly looks really good. He's got a good amount of High Templars, right? Almost 2 storms. 2 storms, 2 storms, 2 storms. So we're about to have 8 size storms, 1-1 upgrades on ZeLoT Dragoon, and he's got 2 observers ready to micro around. So if he does lose one, he can still break through the Lurkers. Let's see if he's able to break through here cleanly. By the way, it looks like we did have a little bit of harassment there. Drew some attention, some units away, and now Invade coming out, trying to break through a huge arc of Hydralisks, but the Hydras may not be able to stop this. With the amount of size storms we have, a bunch of the storms have gone off, and the Dragoons absolutely dominating here. As long as they do have those size storms with them, they are incredibly powerful in the mid-game against Zerg. Couple more Hydras that were rallied up come up to die, unfortunately. Continues to push down. One random Lurker didn't get spotted during that battle. Looks like the observer was out of range. So we'll sit there for a moment. And Invade has, like, this is a pretty big advantage, if you ask me, right? Look at this, 128 to 84. He broke the containment. When you lose a containment like that, you're in bad shape, right? Like, if he can't hold Protoss into this little choke, how does he use the same set of units to hold a surface area much bigger, right? He's got to block this ramp from going up. He's got to block this area. He's got to block this area. It doesn't seem realistic. A lot of Lurkers coming up, but that is a ton of Dragoons to have to deal with. Size Storms coming down for that support as well. Actually, very good Size Storms on the right side, I'd say. And he is just popping these Lurkers left and right. Now, a couple of High Templars do end up falling there, so we're down to just Dragoons. Does he have the critical mass? Dragoons generally don't fight well alone, but when you get the critical mass, they actually overwhelm everything. It's a funny unit in that way. Now, coming down into this natural, starts just pounding away. Hydras, yeah, they're going to have a hard time engaging such a wall of Dragoons. And with the Zealots coming down, honestly, I think this is it. This looks to me like an Invade victory. A bit of an upset. ZeLoT cannot be happy with this, but Invade honestly played a really clean, really nice game. Getting his third base up during all this as well. There's just nothing left here. He's popping out Hydras, but that's going to be it. GG. Invade beats ZeLoT. So getting into game number 2 here. This one is going to be between Movie and Absolute. Pretty impressive from Invade to be able to move on. We'll see if Absolute is able to make a similar upset here. Although I feel like it would be a little bit less of an upset, as Movie is historically just kind of weak against Zerg. He's had some pretty flubbed games in the past. We'll see if Absolute is able to force that. Absolute's pretty good. I don't want to, like, undersell him. He is a very strong player. He's super active. Like, honestly, that's one of the cool things, I think, about CNSL is that all these players that you see in it are, like, extremely active. Obviously, if you qualify for any league, you kind of are. But yeah, these guys are the hungry guys that are not in ASL every single season. So they're working hard to fix that, and they like show up and they take these games seriously. And there's a good prize pool as well. In fact, through the help of you guys, I was able to help fund this CNSL a little bit. So big thank you to all the Patreon supporters. That's patreon.com/Artosis if you do want to check it out. It's in the description as well. Now, Movie comes down and scouts. He's going to see that this was a pool first opening. Not a lot of Zerglings on the way, so he is sending a ZeLoT over across the map. So probably will keep the second one at home, I would guess, but we'll see. Getting ready to make that Nexus as well as these Zerglings go across. Ooh, the ZeLoT looping around. He wants to be a little bit tricky. Single Zergling being clicked onto that probe. Trying to keep it under danger, I guess. Like, make sure that it has to move the whole time. Maybe Movie will screw something up. One ZeLoT being out is not quite enough for the amount of Zerglings on the way, but his second one's going to pop before the rest of the Zerglings get here, so it's not really that scary. Yeah, two ZeLoTs and a probe are going to do totally fine here. Ooh, he loses the probe. Definitely a bit of a mistake, and he actually will kill a drone, so I would say worth overall right there. The two ZeLoTs trying to head off these Zerglings a little bit. Forge gets made. A lot of Zerglings on both sides. See if any more damage can be dealt by this ZeLoT. Now, Zergling speed is on the way. This could end up being a very fast game. With Zergling speed coming and just Zerglings being made by Absolute, Movie has got to secure everything, lock everything down, close the wall completely. He actually has enough. Here, a ZeLoT and a probe up on top. If you put the probe under this little spire thing, they can't click on it. Almost, not quite. He does have a photon cannon on the way. Now, up comes a flank of Zerglings, and they're going to be able to cancel that cannon. That's incredibly annoying. In the meantime, this ZeLoT goes out and gets surrounded, somehow wiggles free, backs up, and will be able to kill more Zerglings here. And, yeah, the photon cannon just barely not canceled here. More speedlings coming up from Absolute. The Zerglings trying to break in here once again. They're going to have to go through the gateway, I think, but the cannon's going to finish. And it is going to be able to kill off that one Zergling that was flanking. It looks like this is just about held. He loses the gateway. Does he need another cannon, baby? Oh, goes after the cannon once again. Oh my god, he actually breaks it. Now, the ZeLoTs can't possibly lose to this small amount of Zerglings, but they can't really force catching them either. You're looking for Absolute to make some mistakes here, so you're able to catch those Zerglings and kill them off. Now, only one is in the main base. The rest microing heavily at the front, getting a probe. Dude, he's at 7 drones. He's at 7 drones during this. Somehow he afforded another hatchery. I don't even understand how Zerg can do that, but they can. It's like, yeah, no, I've been making nothing but Zerglings the whole game. I barely have more workers I started then, but here's my 3rd hatchery on the way, LOL. Now, more Zerglings coming in. Is he going to flank that cannon? I think so. No, he doesn't go after the cannon. You know, once the cannon is fully warped in, it does pretty well against Zerglings. But if you hit it right before that, anytime before that, like, it dies so quickly, it's insane. Now, some Zergling harassment in this main base. He is making a cannon in there. The Zealot comes down to help out. Cybernetics Core finally gets started almost 6 minutes into the game. And drones being made. Right, he was at 7. We're at 12 now. So the Zergling pressure, well, it's not done because he's still doing it, obviously. And he's actually killing a really good amount of probes. Holy crap, man. Are you serious? He just killed like 6 workers there with three Zerglings. Absolute definitely getting some money's worth there. But don't forget, he was on 7 drones for a really long time. So his economy is not particularly strong. Hydralisk Den on the way. Movie kind of stuck in his base. He's only got a single cannon. And this is not a good cannon against Hydras, which is what we have Absolute going for. A Hydralisk Den on 3 hatcheries. When those Hydras come up, they're going to easily gun down the wall because of where this cannon is at. If the cannon is here, you have to be very careful. You have to make straight lines and stuff, have range upgrades. You want to kill that forge. The gate you can kind of always get. It's like so wide. But the forge a little bit harder. So another cannon getting started. Another gateway there. Stargate, Citadel. Okay, so Movie's getting into a more regular game. He is up in workers. Absolute filling in his workers a little bit more here. Zealots come out to push back those Zerglings a bit. You know, as 2 cannons come up, you can kill most of these if they try to run by. He may try to go across the map with the Zealots. The Corsair is coming out relatively soon, so that will help his scouting as well. Hydralisk speed, though, is on the way, and the first Hydras are coming across the map. 2 more cannons come up. Okay, he's really felt out what's going on here. The fact that he's making 2 more cannons, I don't think he actually saw this, but he's right about what's happening. A lot more cannons on the way. Corsair flies out. Yeah, okay, he was actually making more cannons in here, so he's like, okay, something's happening, whether it's very quick mutas or a Hydra bus. And he's making enough cannons that it looks like he's going to be fine here. I think so. Like, he's got a very good Zealot count. 4 cannons looking pretty strong. Hydras walk up to try to gun down the wall. You can see, yeah, you have to be very careful about where you place those. That's a free Hydra kill. This Corsair did end up killing an Overlord in the main base there of Absolute. Absolute trying to gun down this wall. 2 more cannons coming up. Range upgrade not done quite yet. When it does get done, he can start gunning this forge down. I do think he's going to be able to force a cancel on that +1 attack. Templar Archives is coming. Some more gates have been made as well. And now we wait a moment. You know, obviously, the legs are going to be a great moment for him to move out with these. And they did just finish a moment ago. Trying to save that +1 attack. Movie coming up, trying to kill off these Hydras. Uh-oh, this does not look very good for Absolute right now. Losing a lot of Hydras. All of his Ling's going to fall as well. Not able to even deny the +1 attack. That, you know, I mean, if you're going, like, for basically a Zergling all-in and it doesn't work, and then you drone up and try to do the Hydra bust, seems like it is a failing proposition, but then again, probably everything is. You have to take some sort of risk to try to come back from the risks you already took. Speedlot's going towards the natural. This could be a killing move. Like, there's not many Hydras in here. He does get a drone in the way, which is really, really good. Look at how much the drone screws everything up here. Really slows the Zealots down a bit. The Hydras that were outside come back and get a couple of the Zealots to follow them. Looks like he should just barely be able to kill off all of these Zealots. He's losing a lot of Hydras to do it, but you got to do what you got to do here. Looks like a couple drones going to end up falling to this Zealot as well. Definitely not something you want to see. That drone count already has been so fragile this game. Corsair still going around, killing off what it can, and a DT slipping into this third base. Oh, that is absolutely terrible. He does not have an Overlord here. This Dark Templar is going to get so many kills. Absolute in some trouble. Luckily for him, he just had drone swap, so he looked back. But still losing 4 drones. Hydras going up across the map. There's no way on Earth that 11 Hydras can do anything here. I don't think there's much left for Absolute this game. He's really fallen apart a bit. You know, you're doing all these all-ins, they don't work. Your opponent's putting good, solid pressure on you. Hard to really get anything done. All right, an Overlord will come in. He will save this hatch. So that's something at least. At least he gets that. The drone, he's re-droned pretty well. It's just his army is so very weak right now that he can't really put pressure on. So Movie's able to do whatever he wants. And in this case, he's added a bunch of gateways. He's going for mass Dragoons, getting that range attack up, range upgrade for those Dragoons as well. Getting +1 armor. There are a decent amount of Hydras that are starting to be made, but when you're making 7 Hydras against 8 Dragoons, probably doesn't bode well. Probably not. All right, the Speedlot's coming down with some High Templar support. Doesn't want to get those too far ahead. Backs up into his High Templars, waiting for those Hydras to chase. Hydras, of course, upon seeing the High Templars, are going to turn around. Ooh, very decent storm, the first one. Second one, not so much. Look at this one Hydra coming up to snipe. Honestly, that did reasonably well. All right, the Hydras backing up together, but now the Dragoons are coming out. Throws another storm down. A lot of very weak Hydras in this group. The third base going to be the target here for a Movie. And you're trying to come over a bridge against Psystorm. That is not going to be a good move. It throws a couple storms down, absolutely massacring Hydras. And Movie is dealing critical damage right now. Absolute in a terrible spot. GG! Looks like we're going to have a Protoss versus Protoss.